I tried to rack my brain to remember something I did recently that might have been really bad, but I couldn't think of anything too terrible. The uneasiness in the room was accented by the grandfather clock that began its hourly announcement. It gonged 8 times and, as if on cue with the last peal of the clock fading away, my father broke the ice and spoke. "Danny, your mother and I love you very much. We are so sorry to tell you this, it's so hard to say." My father paused and resumed even more vigorous beard rubbing. "Did I do something wrong?" I blurted out, cracking under the strain. "Oh no!" my mother exclaimed, thrusting out her palm towards me like a traffic cop telling a driver to stop, the damp tissue dangling between her fingers like an unworn white glove. Then, she looked forcefully at my father and said, "Tell her, Shane, please." Tears welled up quickly in her eyes as she said this. My father leaned forward in his chair. He drew in a deep breath. "Your mother and I have not, been able to work out serious differences between us for quite some time. We have tried very hard, but..." "Tried?" I repeated, weakly, my voice cracking slightly. I felt like throwing up as I realized that this whole presentation wasn't about anything I had done at all. But, what exactly were they trying to say? My father looked down and shook his head. No one spoke, more tears flowed down my mother's cheeks. She's the one who finally said it, the one who broke the silence. I guess, at that moment, my father just couldn't. My mother seemed to suddenly draw some inner resolve and leveled her gaze at me, uttering the words that I knew I'd never forget. "Your father and I are getting a divorce, dear." "I'm so sorry." I was stunned, hot tears quickly formed in my eyes, and I started to slide right out of that wooden chair I was in. For the second time that day I landed on my seat, only this time not with a feeling of triumphant happiness, but rather, with a feeling of complete defeat, sadness, and even some anger, all wrapped below a surface of numb. I had known only this life for 15 years, it was the only life, the only home I had ever known. How could they just give up on their lives, my life, our family? I felt like I was losing my grip on that rope again, only this time the rope was my sense of family and of unity. It was slipping through my fingers and there was nothing I felt I could do. I was towing that familial line, grasping for an unseen rope. My tears came so hard and fast that my chest heaved with the sobs, and I scarcely remembered anything else except that, although I wasn't the only one in the room that was crying, I still felt all alone. I spent most of the weekend in my room, only coming out when necessary. My parents tried to talk to me but I didn't want to listen to anything they had to say. I felt betrayed, like a member of my team had deliberately sabotaged any chance of victory. The pain inside seemed to prevent me from caring about their feelings at all. I did, however, manage to pick up a few details. My father was moving out and far across town within a week, and I needed to decide who I wanted to primarily live with. It seemed so cruel, and it made me angry when they said it was up to me, and my choice. If any of this had been my choice, then none of it would be happening. I knew I needed to stay at home with my mother, because this was familiar, all my friends lived nearby, and in fact, this neighborhood felt comfortable to me. I didn't want to leave the high school I was in, either. But, when I thought of my father not being around every night, my head would feel as though it was bobbing in an ocean and my heart would ache with unseen pressure against it. I had a recurring dream that week where I was a rope and my father and mother were each on opposing teams pulling on me, stretching me to my absolute limit. Each time I woke up bathed in sweat, shaking and scared. My mom and dad knew I was very depressed, but I don't think they fully understood, as they were so busy dealing with their own obviously serious issues as well. That whole weekend felt so disconnected for me, each day seemed to become more uncomfortable. I guess they thought I would get over it in time. But, they forgot that their divorce did not bring any happiness to me at all. For them, it may have been very sad, but theirs was also a feeling that they were moving on with their lives. Not so with me, for I felt that my life had just gotten only much worse. Somewhere inside all my bitterness, I instinctively knew that I would eventually get over this, and that life would go on. But, at the time, it was so hard to find the strength to fight. It seemed that in this tug of war, there could be no clear victor. It was nearing sunset on Sunday when I finally decided to get out and go for a walk. I had begun to feel as though the shadows across the walls in my room were closing in on me, and I began craving the open air. I just wanted to go somewhere a divorce wasn't going on. My mother asked if I was okay as I walked towards the door. "Yeah, sure," I mumbled, a little sarcastically. I ambled out of the house, feeling my shoulders pull down and inward as if in response to the gravity of her question. Shutting the door behind me, I threw my hands into my jean pockets, stared at the concrete and began to walk with seemingly just aimless direction. So many questions pounded through my confused and angry mind. Why? Why did they have to give up? Did they still love each other? Did they ever love each other? Do they really love me? What will happen to all of us now? Then I thought about constantly having to explain the divorce to all my friends every time someone asked, "Where's your dad?" I thought about that question, and began to talk internally with myself. Where will your father be, Danielle? Where will your family be now? I felt like crying again, but this time no tears came. Somewhere inside of me, a voice, like a comforting friend that I knew only as my thoughts, seemed to be trying to answer its own question. I cocked my head to one side, listening to the gentle wind as though my mind was gaining its trust to impart wisdom to me. I took my hands out of my pockets, made two fists and fell to my knees in agony. I had no idea where I was, my mind in a daze. My eyes were closed tight, and I was trying to hold on to that wind, the only voice of comfort, but it seemed hard-earned. I wanted answers, I felt I needed answers so desperately. After a few minutes, I opened my eyes and saw where I had ended up walking to. My knees had a white powder on them and I realized that I had subconsciously wandered all the way to school and to the very spot where our tug of war had taken place on Friday. I was kneeling right in the middle of the chalk line, as though praying to the gods of tug and war for relief from my misery. That's when I realized that I had never really left that chalk line. In many ways, the tug of war that started on Friday had never ended. Then, the voice inside me spoke, my voice, my conscience, thoughts and truth. They do love you, I comforted myself. They probably love each other too, but they just couldn't hang on. I sat with the impact of this for a moment, then my thoughts resumed. You will go on with your life because you are strong and you do not give up. I remembered the two people who had let go of the rope on the team that lost the tug of war on Friday. Confident that victory was in their grasp, they stopped trying. But, they lost because of that, and, when they lost it affected not only themselves but their entire team as well. Was love like that, I wondered? Maybe, I thought. If you start thinking you have something that doesn't need working on and lose the motivation to fight for your relationship, you can lose out on a chance for victory and end up affecting many people that depend upon you. Marriage is definitely serious business. Some people should never play the game. But, an even more serious relationship is the one I have with myself. If I am strong, maybe I can inspire strength in others. I began to realize that notions of winning and losing are both ideas that only exist because of each other. In this way, I owed them both respect. There were important lessons to be seen from both sides. I had seen that their team's mistakes that day were our team's gain. We won partly because of their actions. If they had never dropped that rope, there would have been no chance for us to win, no chance for victory, no opportunity for growth or even for this moment. We had gained strength from their weakness. In that way, I owed the other team gratitude for not only my victory, but also the lessons I had just learned. They sacrificed themselves so that we could win, and the only way to be victorious was to learn the lessons from the experience. In this way, either side had the potential to be a victor in any contest at any time. My parents had dropped the rope. All that mattered now was that I needed to remember to never stop the fight for what I wanted in this life. I needed to pick my games, ambitions, and choices in life very carefully. I knew then that I would never drop the rope. I'm a fighter. I would find a way to win even through this or any other struggle, because that's what I do. That's who I am.